my country. Where knowledge is free. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls.
Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
I love India!
The Indian agriculture is in the past was dependent very heavily on the money lenders, and they charged very huge rate of interest, and the nationalization of the banks has really made it mandatory for the banks to lend it to the agriculture sector with good rates of interest. But what's normally we miss in this is the cost of cultivation, which normally the banks have, they give as a loan, crop loan to the farmers. Oftentimes, I feel is faulty. It has not taken into consideration the realistic ground level situation, and still there is a huge dependence of the farmers on the traditional money lenders, and also the commission agents. So the commission agent, most of the, especially in Karnataka market, maybe it's a fact with other markets in India too, that it is the money lender who pays for seeds. He is the one who pays money for procurement of fertilizers. He is the one who pays for meeting the expenses of laborers, and that's how what happens is he is dependent very heavily. Even he provides money for meeting expenditures of family functions. So what happens is by the time he harvests the crop, in fact he will have borrowed sufficient amount of money, which when the product is sold, it is almost equivalent to almost the borrowings. So therefore the savings aspects has been a big threat. Rather farmers have not been able to save, and there's been a sort of a gambling. The agriculture marketing is more of a gambling. One, you gamble with environment, and also you do not have a scientific production plan, because of which what happens is in a year you have less product available in the market, and in some year you have excess quantity of the same product available in the market, and therefore the prices vary. There are price of onion has gone from say about 2 rupees to 40 rupees. So therefore when farmer gets 2 rupees, he is under loss. When he makes 40 rupees, he is under huge profits. And these fluctuating situations really have not given stability to this economy. And this is something which I am sure the government has to do very seriously. And this is you cannot just leave it to the government alone. This has to be rather building the capacities of the non-governmental organization to understand how important it is to provide some sort of secured pricing mechanism to the farming community. So therefore there has to be involvement of the community also. So therefore I think it's a challenge of a very much bigger order, where it's banker, it's the farming community, it is the Department of Agriculture, it is the processor, it is the input supplier. They all have to work in close coordination. And I was mentioning about this commodity interest group. Well, in certain commodities it's been a very successful thing, like in Narayangaon, a couple of farmers, just about 9 farmers, they have come together, and they have been growing grapes, and they have been very successful. They have developed their own brand. So, and that Abhinav brand has become very, very popular. So similarly, farmers in Bagalkot, for example, they have tried having their own society, Pomegranate Growers Association, and through those associations they are procuring their inputs. They have common marketing plan, And similarly, there are organizations like Namdaris who have been also helping small farmers who have been given technology, who have been given inputs, and also the end produce is procured. So there has to be some sort of a supply chain, good supply chain, which needs to be created. So you minimize your losses, you cut down your cost, you produce quality, and then you at the end meet the requirements of the consumer. And in this, especially the role of women is very, very important. The last couple of years, with the formation of the self-help groups has brought transformation. In fact, women know how to how better to use the money, and this self-help group has given new confidence. This microfinance, thanks to microfinance, so that has been creating a sort of a vibrant, vibrant planners, I must say, because women plan plan for the education of their children, plan for the marriages of their children. They look after the daily requirements of the house. They look after even the agriculture requirements. Therefore, I think compared to men, the women have started playing a very critical role in the development of the family. So therefore, I think this contribution of microfinance in the formation of self-help groups has really given some sort of accountability, and women have started asking questions like, how to make the best use of their time. I happened to visit almost about 40 to 50 villages, and in each village I kept talking to women and asked what is it that they expect from the government. And what most women they said is that every day they get about 4 hours of extra time. They want to make some money out of these 4 hours, and they are not expecting heaven. Actually, when I ask how much money they expect in a month to earn from these 4 hours of effort, they say that they just need about 1,000 rupees. And I think if our planners, if our big institutions are not capable of understanding the requirement of these women, how to use the 4 hours of their time and see that they are compensated to an extent of about 1,000 rupees, and I tell you that can bring a tremendous change in this country. And I think through this program, My India, My Pride, I'm just trying to impress upon everyone that every one of us have to think about those people who are not sure about a square meal. We have to think from their angle, and wherever the wastages are taking place, we should plug those things. We should not waste it. We don't have any right to waste resources. We have to make the best use of the resources. There has to be equity in this country. Everyone should be happy, and that should be the objective of every citizen in this country. And if this can be achieved in this country, and if this becomes contagious, and if in other countries like Ethiopia still have very bad situation compared to India, there are very poor people are there, they still struggle for food, and there are many poorer countries in Africa, so they all need to have solutions. The countries like Afghanistan have problems, and I think today, when we are in 21st century, we'll have to talk about a global economy, a global society, a global village where peace and prosperity has to be ensured, and peace and prosperity can be ensured only when we all work in collaborative manner with and this requires huge patience, and that's what Indian society has taught all of us. That's what we have learned from our families, and I'm sure the 21st century is a landmark century. Landmark year. 21st century is going to be it's a century which is going to transform the whole world, and where we have the responsibility of playing an exemplary role, just because we are capable. It's also because of the very long culture and heritage that this country has of more than 7,000 or 8,000 years. So that's it, and I'm sure we will all derive strength to meet these challenges.